always forget how long the PlayStation logo runs. So there's your opening dead air for this one.
Oh my god, yeah, that is all just dead air.
I thought that it wasn't playing properly.
It's like, is it frozen? What's going on?
Normally I'd say we should do another take, but this is X6.
3 weeks ago.
Okay, so I'll immediately start. This is important. The 3 years thing at the end of X5 is totally fucking wrong. It's even in the book right here, my handy-dandy art book. Is 3 weeks later, the Reploids were well into the reconstruction of the damaged land when Mavericks, who had all been assumed to have been destroyed, show up without warning. Hoping to get to the bottom of this puzzling occurrence, X steps out into the field with Zero's saber in hand. So, 3 weeks is right, which means X5 translated 3 years super wrong.
Or the guys working on X6 got it wrong and no one called them on it?
I can honestly see it making more sense either way. Well, I don't know, actually. I guess if X5 was planned to be the ending, then a 3-year gap with, like, everything is perfect and, like, Zero's still fighting alongside me makes a little bit more sense than, like, in 3 weeks. Because I think the gap between X1 and 2 is 6... Is it 6 weeks or 6 months?
The exact same problem.
Well, months and weeks is still more comparable than weeks and years. Yeah. Also, I don't get that translation there.
Which
and
was it?
A man is... It's like... Oh man, this is all Reploids. It's a very Castlevania line. But yeah, so X6.
It's 6 months later, not weeks.
That's what I thought. This one was making me undershoot it. Yeah, so... This is a pretty short gap. Which... You know, I guess take that.
It's about as long a gap as they had development time.
Oh!
Right out the gate with the win.
I'll actually, since we're immediately doing some control modification here, since always dash with the shoulder button, it's the best thing. I guess I'll bring up the horrifying flame war I was in.
Oh yeah, go for it.
If we want, I don't know. There's not really a lot of like topical stuff to go over.
There's going to be plot in just a sec, so...
Yeah. Well, it's a quick story. There's not a lot to it. Basically, when I was practicing this run of X6, I vented on my Twitter basically saying, like, God, this is a savagely unfun game to play. And, like, a couple days later, apparently, according to their Twitter bio, kind of a big deal, actually, in their description, the world speedrunning champion of X6, and they were like, man, no, if you're good at the Mega Man X series, it's a really easy, fun game. It's like, I didn't even hashtag this. Why are you hunting down people to argue with on Twitter? This is needlessly combative. So I basically just responded like, well, I mean, it was just unenjoyable, and it's a notably rushed title in the series. There's nothing really wrong with that. It's just not the best one. He was like, well, actually, it's a 9-month development cycle, which is way longer than some of the other ones. And for a Mega Man style game, that's not a long time at all. And let me just fucking go right in here. We had such a tight schedule for X6. I had just received my instructions for the designs and was like, I guess we'll have some interesting bosses. When someone from marketing dropped by and said, oh, hey, do you have anything for us yet? From that point on, everything I did involved tears. X6 was rushed! Deal with it! It's in the book! So, now that that's out of my system... well, this is getting into Gate's system.
I wish we got to learn more about Gate before just immediately Maverick. I mean, we learned a lot about him over the course of the rest of the game.
We also learn a lot about him in comparison to learning a lot about, like, Colonel, or any of the other side characters. That way, like, he gets a couple sentences lead in, and this is, so, I should mark my page, because I'm going to, like, gesticulate, even though none of you at home can see it. Gate's one of my favorite characters in the series, at least as far as bad guys are concerned. I think it's really interesting that just based on this, and then, like, the backstory that we get over the course of the game, he's not really evil, at least not at the start, but he becomes viral and kind of goes insane with his experiments and stuff like that. And it makes him a really interesting antagonist, which is unfortunately wasted on this mess of a game, but...
Zero, you're melting.
Yeah, the pieces are still there. It's a dream sequence. He's Hazy Dream Zero. And Alien's creeping on X while he's in bed.
Oh, yeah, no.
But hey, Alien's back, because we got, like, actual consistent characters now, which is nice.
And Cygnus, and Douglas, but not Lifesaver.
Well, I mean, Lifesaver was lost in the Great Earth Repair. Actually, it'd be kind of nice if they addressed that at all. So this is cool, and it's one of the only times that I can think of where something like this happens, at least in this section of the series. Mm-hmm. That's the colony crash site, or like where most of the wreckage lands from X5. So the intro stage in this one is basically the ending of the last one, which I think is pretty cool.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But didn't, in the canon ending thing, we destroyed like 87% of the fucking thing and the rest of it burnt up in the atmosphere?
So, yes, I think you're not wrong. A lot of this probably comes down to retconning, but they do address in the intro bit, like the opening cinematic, basically, that the explosion from it still really fucked the Earth up, which is why it's in such a bad state right now. It's basically said that a lot of, or I think like all of humanity is basically retreated underground while Reploids like clean all of the wreckage, pollution, and stuff, because it's basically like a near cataclysmic event. So this crash site, I think, is probably just supposed to be the rest of the rubble, and it looks really big, but I think Eurasia was supposed to be like really insanely big, even for like sci-fi colony standards. I don't know. I don't think there's any actual description of it anywhere to make a basis on it. Yeah, like you couldn't find it. It's not in the book that I've got. It might be in like the extended book. In any case, I don't think it's supposed to be like, man, look at just this entire continent got wiped out. I think it's literally just like, this is just a spot. Like, basically a book. Like, it looks really big based on the background art, but I don't think it's actually that massive.
Someone asked Capcom.
That'd be neat. Capcom doesn't care.
So, you're sort of dash canceling to destroy these blocks.
So...
The fact that you need to in order to destroy them in a reasonable amount of time is fucking insane.
Yeah, a lot of the damage balance in this one, including just, like, use the sword on it, which I think is really, like, just those blocks, is pretty bad. And one of the things that'll happen a lot in this game is hit detection gets really kind of weirdly inconsistent, and I don't know if it's, like, to certain, like, hitboxes or what. Like, I can't imagine the hitboxes in this game being overly complex, because it's not like it's a fighting game or anything. I mean, naturally they're going to be there, because X now has, like, this huge swath in front of them that's the sword hitbox and everything. But, the nightmares, which obviously we'll get into when they come up first, they will get killed in a single certain attack for later on that I'll discuss more when I get there. Sometimes. But then other times, even though it looks like they're within this huge hitbox, they take 2 hits with it, with, like, no visible changes. So, like, there's just a lot of weird hit shit going on.
Meanwhile, this, it doesn't actually take damage when you hit it with the sword. It takes damage after it lands on the ground.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's not even on hit. I think it's just, like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's. Yeah. I don't think that's supposed to be indicative of it being strong at all. I'm pretty sure it's just like, here's the boss mechanic. Like, this is just when the frames go off or something.
It never that boss mechanic never really comes up again.
The needing to use a sword on something. Well, you can damage.
Separate things. Yeah. Also, hi Zero. How's it going?
Don't worry, that's not Zero. We'll cover it. Don't worry about it. There's a lot in this game to go over. There's just a whole lot of shit. But so that intro boss, you can actually damage the main body too. It's just easier or like quicker. It takes more damage if you hit it in like the remote core thing. And naturally the saber is highlighted in it because it's kind of trending you like, hey, this is a thing X has now. You should probably get used to using it.
So we completely glossed over needing to borrow Zero's power.
Yeah, so we leave in this run all of the Alia notes, so in advance, I'm very sorry for that. There is an ungodly amount of English in this game. Like, just an unbelievable amount of things that, like, you'd think even if you were translating something quickly, you wouldn't accidentally mess up, which leads me to believe that it wasn't actually localized by, like, people overseas. English. Like, yeah, it almost seems like it was part of their, like, overseas development, which... It works, like, it's fine, you get what you need out of it, but it's just like, holy crap, you did not have a lot of time to release this game. So, this is an intentional loss fight. Hymax, there's literally nothing you can do to him. I think if he gets you close to death, he'll also stop, so I don't think you can lose here. It might be a case like Vials in X1 where, like, if you're running into him on purpose, you can get yourself killed, but I'm pretty sure he'll back off. Which is neat. And that actually... counts across the board, like even with hacking devices. Like if you have things that he's weak to later on in the game, he still can't get touched there. It's just like, that's it. Like you can't do anything in this fight. Which is just supposed to be like a, oh, alright! This guy's fucking here. Also, this guy's fucking here.
Hi, Colonel Sanders.
Hi, King of all Cosmos.
Hi, King of all Sanders.
Is Dr. Wily.
God, he has such impressive eyebrows.
He's got impressive everything. So this is Isaac. He's not really going to go into it here. This is a long plot dump. This is actually a pretty big bulk of this episode. So we can go back to talking about other things for the most part. I'll pull up his design notes right now, which is just going to spark, like, counterpoints towards me, because I've got my own opinions on this. So this is the exact halfway point in this book. Neat. Isaac, I was thinking about a certain scientist while designing this character. The horizontal piece on his head is supposed to be hair. I also gave him a beard and something that looks like a necktie. So...
Oh, what, is that something that's supposed to be a necktie?
No. Shut up. God damn it. No, he's got the facial hair... And then he's got the piece that looks like a necktie, the yellow thing coming out of the jewel on his chest. Fucking calm down. Oh my god, is that this thing? No! Shit. But yeah, so... I'm assuming they're implying that he's designed basically around Dr. Wily. And something that we're not going to get in this story path, because again, this is an all-X run, just like normal. I shouldn't even have to explain that at this point. Is he's obsessed with Zero. So, like, Gate's doing Gate things, and then Isaac is like, oh, but this guy's perfect, let's go analyze Zero some more. Oh my god, I love him so much, it's Zero! And even that's really inconsequential. Like, it really doesn't come up as much. Gate's the main bad guy for every version of this game. There's no real differences there. So Isaac's really just kind of here for this cutscene, and then, like, 2 other points in the game where it's just like, also Isaac's here! Whoa! And I guess he's kind of supposed to be, like, the public face of everything going on, so there's a correct version of this game that maybe people in the SA thread will try to translate. I know that apparently X5 was giving people some trouble, so who knows. But what I pieced together from this garbage, this horrible localization that we got, is that the nightmare phenomenon is a thing that's happening right now. That's what the purple Zero, or pink Zero, was that showed up and saved us, quote-unquote, from that intra-boss.
Who is explicitly not actually Zero.
Shut up. That's not a thing yet. So, he is the public face of the Nightmare Investigators, who are going to end up being the 8 bosses in this game, gated, just like Hymax. They're the Nightmare Investigators. That's their thing. And right now, this is basically saying, like, Zero's back. He's a dick. He's causing this nightmare phenomenon. They're basically framing him, since you kind of vaguely spoiled a little bit of that. They're framing Zero for causing these weird events that are happening all over the planet. And they're trying to protect the peace, again, quote-unquote, and figure out why and stop Zero and make sure that nothing bad happens. And right now they're rallying Reploids to, like, join our cause, go to these infected areas and help us find the source of these problems and wash them out, which...
How dare.
Is the... Yeah, how dare. That's the rescue Reploid system. Those are all people that were not even brainwashed, just like, oh my god, I want to help. And they run off, and they're like, oh, this game's terrible! Yak, save me! So, that's what's going on there. And yeah, just more... I mean, you're hopefully reading this wonderful English as we're going through all this. But they're basically saying, like, That probably wasn't Zero, and Alien's like, well, we should probably see what the hell's going on right now, in any case, just because there's, like, goddamn acid rain and purple lava and shit, so let's check this out. I'm out of things to say, and this is still going for, like, another minute, I think. Holy shit. Do you have any questions so far?
Yeah, what's Colonel Sanders' relation to Gate?
He's the public face of the Nightmare Investigators. He's the one that was just rallying everybody. That is...
Yeah, like,
almost...
No. Get that. But why? Where's the badness in that?
Don't worry about it. It's X6. That's about what we got out of it. As far as I'm aware, there's not really any explored depth between Izak and Gate. Izak really is just kind of worthless and present.
So, because
he, like, again...
Guys, go out and investigate this awful nightmare, but I have no actual reason to make you do that.
Oh, well, I mean...
Like,
okay, well, wait, what are you implying?
Like, what the fuck is the point of any of it?
Well, because, okay, so the nightmare phenomenon, which I don't think they explain super well right now, but it's basically like... Again, like, you know, acid rain and, like, strange, just bizarre things. Like... Purple Zero just showed up out of nowhere. Also, all this other stuff is happening around the world. We're trying to stop that. It's not like he's a known public figure like Repliforce would have been or anything like that.
Right.
It's just like, this guy's trying to be, like, good for the work economy and the environment and, like, is wanting to keep us safe. Let's help him out. It's basically like he's a crazy street corner protester sort of guy. Like, nightmares go home! Stop taking our jobs! You guys go kill him. The rain.
Right, but he's working with the guy who's making the bad. Why the bad? I can't articulate.
I get what you're saying now. It's like, if the bad guys are secretly the ones causing the nightmare phenomenon, why is he trying to get people to help stop it? I don't know.
Like, is he trying to lure more victims to become the infected?
Maybe.
Great.
I mean, considering that's what happens with the rescue Reploids, that is a fair bet. But in the text boxes in the game that I'm remembering, because usually I plow through them or my eyes glaze over, I genuinely don't remember if there's any explanation for that. Really, what we just got was just the plot propulsion to move forward of, here are things that are happening. Go, people, be the rescue Reploid system. And X is like, that's bullshit, Zero's dead and not a bad guy. And he's also my friend, I guess. Let's go investigate this ourselves because we're the good guys that the player can identify with. Otherwise, we'd be playing as Izak, and that'd be a terrible game. I assume.
I'll play as Colonel Sanders.
Colonel of all cosmos.
Yes.
God, they're still going on. Holy shit. But yeah, so this is the other thing, is Zero is dead right now, so X is the only playable character, and they're basically saying, like, hey, only hope. And Alia just showed some hesitation there. Mm-hmm. It's like, X, I, ... It's like, what? It's like, oh, actually, don't worry about it. Just, be safe. So, and that's hinting towards stuff that we'll cover a little later.
So what happened to the continents on planet Earth?
I think it's just crappy art. And, like, remember, just rushed. It was a rushed game. A lot of that kind of thing. It's like, it's supposed to be Earth. It's not supposed to have been irreparably damaged because it does show up normal again later on. They do refer to it as, like, actual continents and stuff like that. It's just, it's a bad asset. That's the only explanation. There's really not a lot else to it. Douglas, why is your text yellow and not green?
Is Douglas green?
Yes.
Right, because Double was yellow.
Yep.
That's right.
There's Douglas, and he's green. I don't even think there's green text anywhere, so I don't know why they did that. So, Jesus. Okay, finally onto our first level.
20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my god, has it been 20? Oh my god, this is so long.
Yes.
So,
I like this guy.
Yeah, Yammark is neat. So, X6 does the same thing as X5, which we already saw in the intro stage, but I spaced and didn't explain it. You start with the Falcon armor, right? Like you started with the 4th armor in X5.
How is the Falcon armor in this one?
So, instead of talking about this stage, I'm going to go over my personal thoughts on this. The way they explain this is the 4th armor originally wasn't nerfed, you just got it. It was just a good armor in X5. In this one, except I don't think it could do the Giga attack out the gate. I think that was how it was nerfed. And you might lose it if you start the game with 0, because then he gets the Z Buster X, doesn't get the 4th time. Whatever. Previous game. This one was damaged in the previous battles, and Aelia isn't Dr. Light, so she can't repair it perfectly. So it doesn't have the invincible flight. I don't think it starts with the Giga attack. I might be wrong about that. No, it totally does, because I used it in the intro state, so it does have the Giga attack still. Mostly it can't fly. And I think it has slightly less damage reduction. It is a little bit more nerfed, but basically you can't become invincible at any time with it, which is fine. I wish they had started you with a damaged version of the Gaia armor, and that's a small fraction bias, because I prefer the Gaia armor over the Falcon armor. I love both of them, but I think the Gaia armor is way more interesting and cool, personally. But having this as your kind of crutch in this one, because you are a little better with the Falcon armor versus regular X in most instances, because it does give you a little bit of damage mitigation, it does give you a Giga attack, it is, by all rights, the easier armor to use. Your charge shot is so narrow that every other game in the series so far, your charge shot is bigger. It does more damage. So does this. Oh, that's the other thing, is it doesn't penetrate terrain anymore. So that's another thing that isn't... I don't think it does. I might be...
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Cool, thank you. So you usually have a larger charge shot, just in general. And this one, it's really, really narrow, and it makes it a pain in the ass to hit certain things, because you're expecting that bigger hitbox. So I would have liked to see Gaia armor that was damaged so that as your beginner's crutch, you can hit spikes once, and it drops you down to 1 HP, but gives you an opportunity to get out of the spike there. Because that serves as a utility, but also isn't its full potential, and it's kind of helpful, like, alright, if we're doing this thing where we're going to ease beginners in a little bit, here's a nice little crutch, instead of like, oh, you get this sort of charge shot and like a better air dash or something. You get that as a utility, and then you also get the wider charge shot, and maybe they could leave in the can't use special attacks, maybe remove the Giga armor, or Giga attack, whatever they felt to balance it out. But just for the charge shot, like just so that I have a hitbox that isn't needle thin, like I can't stand it. But okay, so geez, we just passed a couple things. We passed our first nightmare, which gave us a nightmare soul, which is how you rank up in this game. That'll cap out at 9,999. That's how you equip parts. And hitting 9,999 max, we'll just call that max from now on, lets you equip all 5 potential parts on a character. Not on both characters, because you can unlock 0, I don't care, spoilers, whatever. That's per character. So if you want full potential on both characters, you have to collect max twice, which is insane, because there are certain limitations of it. Also, this is bullshit. So,
fucking perspective.
This section is bullshit no matter what, like even if you're prepared for it, because there's a leap of faith coming up that very much has spikes all over it. Like, I'm gonna dash down it right here. Yeah. Just have fun landing on those off screen all the time. So, another thing that we passed were the nightmares, which were dropping the souls, like I said. You collect the souls, rank up, they're good, you want souls. The nightmares will infect the rescue Reploids that you've now seen me collect, like, probably 8 of, like, an inordinate amount, because there's a lot of them per stage. There's 128 total. So those guys, right there. For those of you that don't know, the rescue Reploids in this game are not like they were in the little side branches of X5 where they were sort of first introduced. A, they're pickups. They won't respawn if you go back into a stage as a stage element. They're actually part of completion in this game. They will heal you and give you extra lives. I think they're some of the only real convenient ways to get extra lives in this game. They do drop. I've seen it happen like maybe twice ever. And this is a long game, so that's a lot. They will also give you parts. So, like, supplementary life ups. They'll give you things like Ultimate Buster, which makes it so that you automatically fire charge shots if you have it equipped. Things like that. They're really useful. There's 128 of them. The Nightmares will, not can, they will actively pursue this, float towards them if they're nearby, and latch onto them. And the moment, like the frame that they latch onto them and that help icon goes away, they are gone forever. So if they're holding one of those special parts, that part's gone unless you reset without saving, do the whole stage over again, or if you're playing it like Fire Emblem, permadeath style, it's like, just that's it. And there are certain instances where if you're doing certain strategies, like I'm doing in this one, that will ruin you. And there are certain instances in this game that I'll point out as we go along, because I collect all of them in this run-through, which I hate myself. I'll point them out, but there are certain ones where, like, they'll get taken off-screen, they'll get taken while you're dead and respawn. Like, it's just an instance of, like, ripping your hair out, just like, why are you doing this to me? Just let me play my Mega Man game. Like, holy shit! So...
Meanwhile, if you remember all the way back in X1 how I was praising the backgrounds, 2 rooms ago, there were 7 fucking moons in the background. 2 different sizes. Looping.
Some of them, like, supposed to be next to each other. Like, not even a loop background, just, put 2 moons there.
Yeah.
They're nightmare moons. I don't think that's true, but...
No,
it's probably how they land.
It's a goddamn nightmare to me.
So, start with the Yammark, because you can just sort them to death. Like, there's not even a strategy to talk about here. He's a good intro stage. There's an armor part here. You can't get the sub-tank. You can get the heart tank. Lots of easy rescue reploids. It's a good intro to the game. It has one of the more irritating nightmare effects come out of it, but one of the worst ones can be applied to it, which I will avoid. I will explain how to avoid it when we get to later on where that's a thing that becomes visible. I won't explain it now because I'm already dead inside from explaining so much within such a short amount of time.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Jesus. So, these results screen are a little better, which is nice. She's explaining the Nightmare Soul system that I already went over. Could have done it here. Didn't really practice. Don't worry about it. She'll only do this now. So she doesn't explain the Nightmare Soul thing every single time, which is really nice. What you do get is, this is your weapon get screen again, so there's nothing super flashy, but it's not the worst whatever, especially because we're coming off of it in 5, too. She won't explain a lot repeatedly. You're going to go between those 5 tabs up on top, starting with report, ending on command, which is, like, return to main menu, so that's not even really an option. She'll explain the new weapon to you. Cool. When you get 0, she'll explain both of them to you. Also cool. And then you get the rescue list, which is always weirdly satisfying to watch when there's a lot of them, because it's like, yeah, none of you died. And I'm pretty sure if one of them actually gets infected, or you kill them after they're infected, it will have them grayed out with like a status next to them too. I know that's on the collection screen on the main menu, but you can see here that it shows you what you got from them, which is really nice. And then you get a little blurb about the Nightmare Investigator that you fought and their relation to Gate, which I think is one of my favorite parts about this whole section. Where basically you kind of find out that all of the bosses in this game, in some way or another, were kind of like wronged by just actual normal good guys. So there are elements of a story here that's actually really interesting that we'll cover more later.